A big thank you to all my friends at Washington Federal for sponsoring Zero to Social in 90 minutes. Business owners, call Washington Federal. I bet they can save you money on your credit card processing. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Zero to Social. I'm so glad to see all of you here today. I'm your host for this event, Linda Thomas, and I know that 90 minutes isn't a long amount of time to answer all your questions about social media and tell you everything we would love to tell you about social media, but it's enough time to enjoy a great meal from Tom Douglas and get to know some of the people in the room, and we will get to your questions as well. There are cards on your table. If you have questions as we go through this event, please just write them down. And Jeanette, where is Jeanette? Jeanette, back there, will be collecting the cards. I've already talked to some people as they've come in, and interesting questions, including one about Twitter. Is there something that a business should never say on Twitter? Oh, there is. We have examples. There are very few nevers in the world. There is a never with Twitter. With Facebook, it's okay to delete a comment, right? I mean, they said something kind of nasty about my business, and it's wrong. I can take that down, right? No, you can't. We'll explain why. Is it okay to have the interns run my social media program? Because after all, they're young and they know how all this stuff works. I've got to answer that question right now. If you would have the intern sitting at a board meeting with you, speaking up, then it's okay to have your interns run social media. Otherwise, this is something that you really need to have a handle on. And what is the return on investment from all of this stuff? Washington Federal, our sponsor today, their phrase is invested here. Got a feeling they're going to want to know about return on investment. So we'll answer that. We'll also talk about ROE, which is something that I care more about. When I say we, I'm talking about my social media team. Superstars in the field who I know of really because of social media. Combined, we have a reach of about 500,000 people with our social media. Did you guys know that? No. I would like to introduce our team, beginning with Mr. Google Glass over there, Aaron Blank. Aaron is someone who, as you see on this picture, always has a couple of eyes on whatever's happening in front of him, but also has his phone up, his computer screen. He's ready to capture an image or a video or a tweet. And now with the Google Glass, I think he's even a little more dangerous. Aaron was the president of the Ferry Group. He has since been promoted. Aaron, tell us about yourself.
I've been living and breathing social media since the early days of dial-up, AOL. You guys all remember AOL? Remember the sound? Yeah. Back in the day in the 80s, I was in my parents' basement in New York, Long Island, and was playing in the chat room. My dad was always watching over my shoulder. You know, I get kicked out after 25 members came in. Remember those? You got busted out. Social media is not new. Y'all have been living and breathing it since the early days, and my life is all about it 24/7, always trying to adopt and try new technologies, as you can tell, before they come out, even if I look like a total geek and nerd with this Google Glass on my face, but there's a reason for it. It's really trying to understand it before it hits the market so that I can explain it to the folks like yourselves, and that's what we do in our business.
What's your favorite social media platform?
Geez, I've got 3,500. Going back to old school, Twitter still is one of my favorite platforms. And Linda, you and I would not be connected if it wasn't for Twitter. And Shauna and Yvonne, I mean, we're friends online, but we're also friends offline because of the world of Twitter.
And that's really the joy of social media, is turning those connections online into real friendships. And that's something you cannot measure. I can't tell you what the value is of being friends with these people. It's pretty huge, though. So when we talk about return on investment, don't get all hung up on the numbers. Aaron Blank, thank you for being here today. Also with us on our panel, Yvonne Benedict, who was actually featured with Google Glass on, because this is how I see Yvonne. She is an early adopter, always has been, of technology and with social media as well. Back when social media was just kind of really bubbling up, and that was only 8 years ago, although as Aaron mentioned, it goes way back. She was at King TV, which is really the premier broadcast TV station in Seattle and in the country, I would make that case for. And she was using social media, single-handedly convinced King this is something we need to be doing. And she figured out how to do it. She is the social media manager at King TV, although I think that title doesn't quite cover everything that you do. Yvonne, tell us about yourself.
First of all, you stole my glass, but it looks good on you. I just want to say that. No, it looks good on him. As Linda said, I'm the social media manager at King TV. I've worked there since before most of you were born. I started out in TV. Obviously, I work at a TV station. But about 5 years ago, I started getting into digital and social media, and my younger stepson helped me get on Facebook, which was really cool. And I thought it was great, and I paid him back the favor by getting him on Twitter. What we do now at King TV is connect with our community in a whole different way, but we work across multiple platforms, and it's a really exciting time for us. It helps our journalism be better and stronger, and helps us continue to do our mission of serving the public. I'm looking around to see if I have met any of you on Twitter. I know some of you in real life. That's great. So that's what we do.
Your favorite platform?
Well, when you asked Aaron that, my first thought that came to me is my favorite platform is People, or as we also call it, IRL, in real life. The ability to meet people that I've connected with online in real life is just so amazing. I remember the first time I met these three. We'd already formed a relationship online, but to be able to put faces to Twitter and Facebook profiles, it just really strengthens everything. And one thing that we do at King is we try to get out in the community and meet people who we've connected with either through our TV newscasts, our programming, our Facebook, our Twitter, our website, because this is really what it's all about. Social media is really about people. So, but if you ask me about the platform, I'd have to say at this point I'm obsessed with Instagram.
Why Instagram? You just made that up, didn't you?
No, I didn't make it up. I'm living in a visual world. I spent a lot of time living in the written world because I was a producer and a writer. My husband's a photographer, and a couple years ago I wanted to see what it was like to think like he did, so I did a 365 photo project, which was really a challenge, but I completed it. And in the process, I got on Instagram, and there's just something really compelling when people share their lives with you through photos. And it's just, I just love it.
Thanks for being here, Yvonne. Our next guest, Shauna Causey. She is beautiful inside and out, and she has taught me something about social media in Seattle, going way back, and that is simply, if you get it, share it. That is not something that is intuitive to most businesses, right? You have some kind of knowledge within your business. You're not going to share it with your competitors, but in part because of the leadership of Shauna Causey and some of those really early adopters of social media in Seattle, Seattle is different, and it really does reach out to people. You could contact anyone in Seattle on social media and ask them a question and say, hey, I don't quite understand how to do this. Can you help me? I guarantee you they will, and a lot of that is because of Shauna Causey. She has been with so many different organizations. I can't even count them all, Shauna. Most recently, a vice president at Decide, a company you may not have heard of. You probably heard of the company that just bought it, eBay. Pretty big deal. Shauna, tell us about yourself.
Wow, that was such a nice intro. So like Linda said, these two have been at the same job for a few years now, and I've been moving all around. So I was at managed digital media at Comcast, then actually through social media and through an event got recruited to help Google with their social presence, and then got recruited to lead Nordstrom's digital and social team. And then left because I really missed technology and went to Decide.com, and I love the startup world too. So I've had a chance to kind of experience social from a few different angles. And meanwhile, I've been also president of Social Media Club Seattle, where we bring speakers in. We often fly speakers in and have them have an event once a month where we share insights on social and different areas of social and digital media. So it's been such a fun journey. The last couple of years, I've met so many new friends and had so much serendipity happen as a result of just, like Yvonne said, connecting with new people and meeting people in real life that you wouldn't have met before, or you never would have been connected with before.
And your favorite platform is?
So I feel like for a lot of people who are really involved in digital media, there's a little bit of a trend to smaller niche networks. And I'm definitely feeling that way. So I really love, there's two that I love right now. One of them is Path. And you can only have 150 friends on Path. And so that's where I share stuff that I'm thinking about or things that I just don't think are interesting enough for the entire world on Facebook to know, because I do have a lot of Facebook friends. So that's a smaller network for me to like bounce ideas off people and share stuff. And then the other one is actually a social network that I think originated in Taiwan. It's called Line, L-I-N-E. And I absolutely love it. This platform is just fun with friends because it's all about sharing photos and emoticons, and you kind of have to try it and you'll see why it's so much fun. But it's getting a lot of traction, not as much in the US, but everywhere else it seems to be really popular.
Thanks for being here, Shauna. And I am the News Chick, which is a name that really started in social media because I needed to find a platform name. Linda Thomas, pretty darn common. It was taken, and I didn't want to be Linda Thomas 2013 or whatever. So I had to think of a name that kind of sums up who I am. And I went back 25 years ago to the name The News Chick, which was what the first person I ever worked with in radio said, as in, oh, you're the news chick. It was incredibly insulting to me at the time. Funny how when time goes by, you take yourself less seriously. I'm totally there. And I realized I kind of like the news chick. It says what I am. News is hard, it's serious. Chick is soft and fun. I'll be the news chick on social media. That is my microphone at Cairo Radio, where I'm the morning news anchor. It's my home, has been for 3 years, love it dearly. Before I had that microphone, though, I was like a lot of you in business. I didn't have any platform. I didn't have any big company behind me. I was a freelance journalist, really trying to figure out how to make money in this city. And that takes a lot of hustle. I know we have a lot of people here who are real estate developers, realtors, bakers, small businesses. It takes a lot, doesn't it? I realized pretty early on by playing with Twitter that I could have something bigger than myself. And I started connecting with people, doing what I'd done my entire life, which is sharing news and information. And I did it on Twitter, and I listened to people, and all of a sudden I realized this is pretty cool. And I spent a lot of time observing other people in the media industry who were using social media at the time. Again, this was about 8 years ago. There were no rules. We were making things up. And I saw some of the other major TV networks in Seattle. King was not one of them. But some of the other ones were using Twitter simply to promote their newscasts. Want to know what the mayor said today? Tune in at 5. And I saw that and I thought, well, shoot, I know what the mayor said today. I'm going to tweet it. And I kind of, in a way, became my own news source and realized there's a power to this medium if we all just kind of figure out how to make it useful for us. So what I'd like you to take away today, we're going to talk about a lot of different platforms. We're going to talk about what businesses do right and what they do wrong with social media. The wrong examples are so easy to find. And then we're going to get into each of the platforms. And what I want you to leave with today is a sense of, oh, I could use that in this way for my business. I don't think you need to be on every platform, but I do think there is a platform for every business. So let's start by looking at some of the things that businesses do wrong. There are so many examples. I've pulled just 3. You guys can't quite see the screen. All 3 of these have something in common, and this is the thing you should never do on Twitter, and I would say on any of the platforms. Kenneth Cole thought it was clever to tweet, "Millions are in an uproar in Cairo. Rumor is they heard our new spring collection is now available online." This was during the uprising. This is a very serious time in Cairo, Egypt. Kenneth Cole, you can see his initials right there, thought that was a great way to tie into the news. The same thing with Kmart. This was during the Newtown shooting. They decided to mention that their thoughts are with the victims. That's fine to do, but then they accidentally, probably an intern, included the hashtag Fab15Toys. Not so good to do. And the same thing with the other example, which is from a site called Celeb Boutique. They just saw that Aurora was trending on Twitter with the hashtag, and they decided to get in on the fun, right? Aurora is trending clearly about our Kim K-inspired Aurora dress. Shop. No. They probably didn't even realize what was going on at the time. They just saw the hashtag, and that hashtag is a simple way to search. So therefore, they knew they would show up in searches. So the never, ever, 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 what you're never going to do on Twitter is try to tie into some news event unless you are related to it. If your company is raising money for the relief effort in the Philippines, then it's okay to tweet about it. Otherwise, just stay away from that. Don't try to be clever, and there's enough of that stuff out there. So I turn to my panel for examples of things that businesses do wrong. Aaron?
Well, who in here is on Twitter? Raise them higher so we actually see them. Yeah. So about half the room. Who knows what they're doing on Twitter? That's like five
That's
of you.
like not a great percentage.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, that's helpful to understand sort of where you're at with things. My biggest thing is always listen, learn, engage, then talk. Businesses are out there shouting, I'm great, buy my stuff. Okay, that doesn't work. You know, businesses need to go into a coffee shop and stand in line and say, hey, I'm Aaron Blank, nice to meet you. What are you buying today for coffee?
Grande soy no foam latte.
Dude, that's what grande soy no foam latte, that's what I get. I'll tweet you a coffee on Starbucks later, but basically we have a conversation online. Online is all about that. Twitter, conversations, Facebook, it's that same exact thing. And businesses need to understand how to have conversations and engaged conversations, not buy my stuff. I issued a press release today, or what is the mayor is going to be talking later today at 5. You gotta have an engaged conversation. Those engaged conversations lead to friendships like the four of us here. You really can get to know each other. And I can't tell you how many businesses are out there right now, if you look on Twitter, saying they've got a great deal down the road, but it's not gonna get me in the door. If I had a relationship with that person before they actually put that out there, I might actually buy their deal. If I stood in line in a coffee shop, got to know them. So businesses really need to develop relationships, get to know the people in your network, listen, learn with them, engage with them, and then tell them you want them to buy your stuff.
Because it's not one-way communication, and I think that's what we're so used to, is that you just put something out there. You put your ad out there on one of the platforms, on radio, TV, or in the newspaper, and that's how you're used to operating. But when you're on social media, the really important part of the word is social. You've got to realize it's two-way communication. It's a conversation. Yvonne, any examples of things that you've seen businesses do wrong on social media?
I see it all the time, and it makes me cringe, and I'm in a couple social media groups on Facebook in which we talk about it all the time, but I think what Aaron had to say here was really appropriate. If you're just shouting and you're just publishing and you're just talking about yourself, just go away. Go somewhere else. Send out email newsletters or just update your blog or something like that. Social media is really about connecting, and if you don't have the time to connect with other people, you might even consider getting into another business, because I'm guessing everybody in this room is in a business and where they connect with other people. This is just going to help you continue to do that and expand your network. But you have to take the time to really listen when you're on social media to what people are saying, what they're saying back to you, what they're asking of you, what they're talking about that might be relevant to your community. So what we say in our team is, before you talk, listen. If someone's new on Twitter, we say, don't do anything for 2 weeks. Just get on there and just listen. And then come back to us and we'll tell you how to start getting into the conversation.
Shauna, you've worked with a lot of different businesses and nonprofits. What do you see them doing wrong?
Well, you know, I might take what Aaron said to maybe a little bit of a deeper level. Sometimes the hardest part about social is the internal part in your company. It's not the external sharing. So what I see happening really wrong a lot of the times is you have somebody who might be your social media coordinator, or somebody who maybe even is an intern managing your account, and then nobody else in the company gets to see the feedback that's coming through on that channel, or what you're being tagged on, or what the engagement looks like. There's no visibility. And so that's one thing that I really see wrong. And one of the things we did decide is we started publishing a scorecard so the Nordstrom family would see it directly, and they got to see everything that people were saying about Nordstrom and the topics. And And it wasn't easy to do. It sounds so easy. It really wasn't, because it's kind of like, oh, that's something that the marketing department or the PR department does, and just let them handle it. But it really needs to be part of the entire process for the company to look at the feedback that you're getting and how things are going. One thing that we did at Decide, and I tried to take it to a new level at Decide, something that I couldn't do when I was at Nordstrom or Comcast or even Google, and that's actually innovating around the customer using social. So we would have groups where we would ask for their feedback, and we would develop the product around what they were saying, and that's how important we felt they were. So it wasn't just like a silo for sharing promotions. It was actually a 360 view of our company, and we really worked the customers into the entire life cycle of our product. So I think I just see that happening wrong so much, where it's like, oh, that's, like you said earlier, an intern running it, or that's a silo, and we're sharing stuff, so that's all we need to be doing.
So now I'm curious, since you mentioned the Nordstrom family, how much are they into social media? I was the first, I created the program there, so I think one thing that Nordstrom, sometimes when they're a late mover in an area, they quickly catch up. And they put a lot of resources and a lot of effort into making sure that social is a big part of the company, and they're a lot of the things that we've been doing. We started a Pinterest account, now it's actually, there's an ROI on money on that too, $2 million a year is coming in just through Pinterest. So I think seeing some of the results, being transparent with what we're getting with the scorecard really helped them along. But there was a lot of one-on-one meetings of, what's this about? Why are we doing it? How, there's always fear involved. So I would say at every company I've worked at and with every executive, there is so much fear involved in sharing information and engaging and putting yourself out there. And it seems so simple, but that fear, it's, everyone has it. And here's an example of why businesses are afraid of social media. You see a picture here, this was through Twitter and Instagram, of a sad little boy with his dad. And the tweet is to Palisade saying, "Slowest lunch ever." So that's going out to all the people who may see Palisade on Twitter, on Instagram, realizing, whoa, that's not so great. But what is great is the way Palisade responded to them. Wasn't immediate, it was a couple days later, I think this was on the weekend. Palisade's response was, "I'm sorry to hear that, please reach out." They give the name of their general manager, they give a phone number. They've done a great job. Palisade didn't have to do that. This woman with her tweet, Courtney Anderson, only had a handful of followers. So probably most people wouldn't notice. I just happened to, because I noticed stuff like that. But Palisade really did the right thing. So there are a lot of successes with social media that businesses have too. And so we're going to talk for a little bit about that. Aaron, examples of success, things that you see companies doing right on social media.
Well, I got so many great examples of things that I've seen over the years. Before I get into that, Alex Fryer, who is public affairs director on our shop, if you want a job at the Fear Group, just tweet at us, because apparently you can get jobs. He literally tweeted at me, applied for a position that was way below his pay scale. I had no idea what he was applying for. Sent me a DM, and within 2 weeks later, I met with him, and we hired him. And then someone else recently, our last hire, who's actually in this room, someone I developed a relationship with online, worked at the Fairmont for 4 years, managed their entire social media platform, and then 4 years later, she's literally working in one of our key social media in our shops because of the great influence that I've watched over the years of stuff that she did. Some of the things that I've seen in the local community, and I'll preface it that they're a client of ours, but they're doing some great things. Swedish Medical Center in particular in Seattle is speaking nationally around the healthcare innovation and the social media platforms that they're doing, really engaging with patients in new ways. One of the things that they've done is bring the surgery to life by providing real-world examples, bringing the surgery home to the communities that interact with them. A year ago, we live Instagrammed surgery to bring home raise awareness around a hearing implant device that people didn't know that they could actually hear. It's called cochlear implants, and we Instagrammed the surgery to bring worldwide exposure for this in particular thing. Anyway, Swedish is doing some great, amazing things, and I look into them as a business locally that's doing some great things. And folks that I'm not associated with, so I'll get into that as well. I think that Amazon.com, although that they're starting to get more impactful here in the local communities, doing some great things. I think King 5 in general, if you look at the broadcast scenario, Yvonne single-handedly has really shaped the way social media communications is being done in our community.
She's shaking her head, but yes, you have.
No, I really think, every time I post
Just
on
say thank you.
Instagram, you're engaging in conversations, and that's what it's all about. It's all about engaging in conversations. And every business, no matter how late or how early they get into Twitter or social media, can do things that are innovative. And it doesn't mean how things are being done well, but the people that are engaging in conversations, following up on the good or bad that is happening out there are the ones that are doing it really well.
Yvonne?
Yes, it's a team.
Okay.
It's a team of 88 people, I think.
But Erin brings up a great point, talking about Amazon social media being so strong and others, Swedish as well. Those are bigger companies, so I'm assuming they have a team. But when you started at King, you didn't have a huge team of people behind you. It was pretty much you. How does a small business take an idea of wanting to be on social media and really turn it into a success and grow it like you have?
We've talked a lot about having your intern do the social media, and we've talked about why that might not be a good idea, but there may be somebody in your company who would be perfect for social media. If you have a company of 5 and you have one person who is really social and is really good on the phone or really good with customer service, who knows your company inside and out and knows your customers inside and out and the values that you're trying to impart, that might be the person that you want to be in charge of your social media. I always say, don't worry about the mechanics. The mechanics are fairly easy. Everyone can pick up the mechanics in about a week. What you can't pick up is the ability to connect with people, but every company should have people like that already on staff. So those people can be your champions and start the process. That person might be you, especially if a lot of you are in the real estate business. That's something that you do every day. So you just take what you're already doing every day and put it online and reach out to even more people and connect with them that way. So you don't need to have a big, huge staff. You just need to have the staff that knows your company and knows your customer and can connect that way.
Shauna, what successes do you see with companies using social media?
One of the things that I think you can kind of tell when someone's figured out their strategy on social and they know their business. So companies who really can own their own voice on social, and that might, I feel like everything here is sounding so simple, but a lot of times you just see these companies that, or you see tweets come through from companies, and it just doesn't seem like there's a real person behind it. So I think number one, sharing who's tweeting on the account and being transparent with that. That's one thing that we did at Nordstrom. We had the whole social media team's personal Twitter accounts in the bio, so you could see all of us who are behind the accounts. Because you want to do business with people, not with a logo, and you want to know who you're talking to a lot of the time if you're actually having a conversation with somebody. But the other one is just having a clear voice on who you are as a company and using that in your social channels. So one company that I like is Skittles. Has anyone ever seen the Skittles account, what they do? Nobody in the room, okay. They just, I think they might have a comedian on the account. It's just hilarious, but they really have personality, and it fits with all the other communication channels that Skittles is doing. And same thing, Oreo is another good example. But with Skittles, they'll do things where they'll have these contests with fans where you'll Skittleize something, where you'll put Skittle, like they covered a bike in Skittles and tweeted that, and then they would have the fans tweet in different things that they covered. Just really fun, unique, and so I don't really eat Skittles, but I look at that in the account, I end up looking at what they're doing, and it's fun, it makes me laugh, and then I feel like I should go get some Skittles.
That makes me think of Marshawn Lynch. You need to cover him in Skittles. We're going to talk a little more about some of the specific platforms, and what Shauna mentioned is really important, the idea that your company needs to have a personality on any of these platforms that you're on, and that may sound a little more tricky than it is. We'll show you a few examples of how